So, how's it going? A massive welcome to you all. Thanks a million for being here. It really is great. And I know we have limited numbers, but it's fantastic to see people here. And it's fantastic to have people on live stream on YouTube as well. So thank you very much for joining us in whatever form you have joined us. Really, really thrilled. And just for people who are with us on live stream, you can add comments and stuff like that and communicate with us that way. And there's a link there as well in the description if you want to buy the book on the YouTube description. So Rach wanted me to say a really special thank you to Andrew Harkin, who's Associate Professor of Pharmacology, who understands the medicine and has was a very helpful link to match Rachael up with Matthew and Brian. And so a special thanks then to Matthew McAuslan, who is a Provost Ph.D. scholar at Trinity's Institute of Neuroscience. His research focus is degenerative diseases of the brain. His project combines the strengths of the Global Brain Health Institute and Trinity's unique Pratchett project. They work towards a common goal to advance understanding and awareness of research on Alzheimer's disease. So Matthew's work under the supervision and mentorship of Professors Hadley, Lawler and Harkin. He was delighted to help Rachael conceptualize and visualize the changes that occur in the brain of someone living with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. And Rachael adds that any scientist that can explain science to a non-scientific poet is well on their way to being a great scientist. And so to our opening speaker, it's a really great pleasure to introduce Professor Brian Lawler, who is Connolly Norman Professor of Old Age Psychiatry and Deputy Executive Director of the Global Brain Health Institute at Trinity College, Dublin. He has a long-standing clinical and research interest in the detection, diagnosis, treatment, and care of people with dementia. He's a member of the World Dementia Council and was chair of the steering group of the Irish Dementia Awareness Campaign, Understand Together, www.understandtogether.ie. And it was that website was Rachel's first port of call after her ma got the diagnosis. So it was here that Rachel and her ma learned about dementia and nutrition, how to dance and exercise, how dance and exercise could help people living with dementia and what dementia is in the first place. So Rachael heard Brian talking about brain health and loneliness on Near FM and was delighted to hear him say that the most important thing about dementia is care and caring. And also to find hope in dementia, to grab onto hope. Dance and memories of dance were ways for Rachael and her ma to have hopeful moments. And Rachel adds that Brian's hero is Seamus Heaney, and he does a great recital of Kavanagh's memory of my father. There you go. So Brian not only understands the anatomy and physiology of the brain, but he also has some poetic insights to the human heart. Very honoured to have Professor Lawler to give the opening remarks. COVID clean down.
So thank you so much, Carl, and thank you, Rachael, for this kind invitation. And I'm just so thrilled to be here today on World Alzheimer Day and to represent GBHI at the launch of Rachel's book of poetry, Dancing with Memory, which is really a wonderful commemoration of her mother's life, Bernadette. I'm also very excited about the opportunity to connect our Atlantic Fellows to Rachael and to build collaborations across our disciplines and departments in Trinity through poetry and arts. And I hope that we can do this. And there's a long queue actually outside the door that want to get in to meet you, believe it or not. Now, you said I'm a fan of Seamus Heaney, and I am. Seamus Heaney was once asked if poetry could change the world. I replied, he said, I can't think of a single instance where poetry has changed the world. He said, poetry can change how people see the world. So therein, I think, is the importance of dancing with memory. I think dancing with memory, for me anyway, I believe that it can change how we see dementia and how we see the person with dementia. That was Bernadette. So this collection of poems to me is almost an omnibus of reeling in the years. I mean, I love reeling in the years, but it's mapped directly onto Bernadette's life. And it's very much about connection, storytelling, and a love that endures despite the development of dementia. And I can say, just reading the poems, you can see that Bernadette's personhood and the person that she is, that she, shines through like a beacon throughout. Still someone, still a mother, a wife, and a secret dancer. But there's no sugarcoating, I think, the many challenges and the struggles to be heard and to be cared for by the system that Bernadette experienced, particularly in the last years of her life, along the dementia journey. But I guess that still is part of her story, and an important part of her story that had to be told. And, going to the end of the book, there is no last dance. Memories and love glide on into the long night. So poetry and the arts, I think, are crucial to help change the narrative around dementia. And poetry and the arts help us connect, engage with the person, but more importantly, give agency to the person living with dementia to engage with their own emotions and with their own innate creativity. Poetry and the arts also provide us with opportunities to find growth and meaning in what can be a very, very difficult lived experience. Just on the one hand, Dancing with Memory is a very deeply personal story. But in reading it at the same time, I found it completely universal and connecting us to our collective memory. So on World Alzheimer's Day, I think this book would provide great hope and inspiration to the many thousands of people living with dementia and to their families here in Ireland. So thank you, Rachel.
Super. So now to introduce Rachael herself, who also happens to be my wife, so I had better get this one right. So Rachael is the seventh child, born in Dublin, reared in the Northside, educated by the Holy Faith Sisters in Finglas, the UMass Bostonians in America, the M.Phillers in Trinity College, Dublin, and by the Ph.D. magicians in Queen's, Belfast. Widely published in national and international journals and broadcast on RTÉ Radio 1. Rachael was the winner of the Francis Ledwidge Prize and Over the Edge New Writer of the Year. Her debut collection, Paths Over Finglas, won the 2018 Shine Strong Award. A child survivor of the Dublin and Monaghan bombings, Rachel's second collection, Mayday 1974, contains 33 docu-sonnets and 33 ballads written for the victims of the worst days of the Troubles. Now, I'm no academic or poet, but I can bear testimony to the ferocious compassion of this extraordinary warrior woman. Her first collection, a bold claiming of working-class North Dublin suburb Finglas as a place of poetry, giving voice to people and communities not ordinarily associated with poetry. Paths Over Finglas is an invitation to delicate moments of family, of friendship, love, hardship, and triumph, but is also thundering at the oppression of poverty. Her second collection railed against the injustice of the victims and families of Mayday 1974, who are still seeking justice after so many decades. Victims remembered in cold legal reports, which Rachael artfully crafted into 33 sonnets, were re-remembered through 33 ballads. Their lives filled with desires, love, dreams, hopes for the future. And for me, it was the sparkle in the eyes of the victims' relatives at the book launch that bears testament to Rachel's ferocious compassion. And this, her third collection, Dancing with Memory, is divided into 7 sections of 77 sonnets and 12 villanelles. So the elements of dance make up the 7 sections, and the last section uses the symptoms of dementia as the poem's titles. It's a searingly beautiful homage to her late mother, Bernie. And we see Rachel is ferocious in protecting and fighting for her mother's memory, her mother's legacy. As Rachel writes in the opening poem, "My first dance partner kept me from all harm." And this intergenerational motherly love is in abundance in this collection, as Rachel keeps her own mother from all harm. The collection reveals and revels in intimate family moments, moments of pure joy, the embrace of a loving family and community, finding love, traveling abroad, children being born, watching them grow, falling in love, the renewed joy of grandchildren, interspersed with the terrible tragedies of life, the death of a child, of a husband, struggles with poverty and addiction, and, of course, dementia. But this book is not just a testament to one life, Rachel's mum, Bernadette. It is also a testament to a life, the monumental events and transformative changes that occur in one person's lifetime, 1937 to 2021, the Second World War, the North Strand bombings, scandals of the Dublin tenements, the Magdalen laundries, the Vietnam War, May Day bombings, the Troubles, the World Trade Center, the financial crash, the pandemic. Rachel's ferocious compassion, returning memories to her mother in the final years of her life, and fiercely asserting the breathtaking significance of each human life. So by no means does Rachel merely write with ferocious compassion, she lives it. She works in her work with refugees and asylum seekers. The volume of tears shed for the trials that the students have to go through are matched only by the volume of letters written on their behalf and hammering on doors of officialdom to demand equity and equality. I'd say half the people in Dublin's various offices know Rachael Hegarty's name. So Rachel sometimes asks me to deliver a talk to her Trinity Access students, and the task is made almost impossible because the students need to tell me how much Rachel's embracing, compassionate teaching gives them the courage and strength on their learning journey. While at home, I witness Rachel as she determinedly and fiercely strategizes to keep and get every student through the program. At home, the banter is that she's the soft one. Our boys, always call her for the treats, for the days off school, for the snuggles on the couch. But woe betide anyone who threatens their happiness or well-being. And I can tell you there are more than a few who'll think twice before facing this tigress again. And of course, Rachel's mother, Bernie. So I understand memory as a connection between brain cells made stronger by repeated activity. I think of it as a field of long grass. And the more you walk over and back across the field, the more permanent the path between the 2 points. And there is a path of love that will never fade between our house and the home where Rachel's mother lived with dementia for the past 3.5 years. There was never a day missed on this love path, even through the torturous lockdown where Rachel could not enter the building. She dropped in a treat every day to remind her mother that she was and always will be loved. Ferocious compassion. It is one of the great pleasures of my life to be ferociously loved by and love ferociously this warrior poet. Family and friends, may I introduce to you Rachael Hegarty.
That's terrible now. My mascara is going to be running all over YouTube land. Thank you very much, Professor Lawler, for talking so bravely and eloquently about dementia and the stages of dementia and the need for creativity, for treatment for people and their families who live with dementia. Thank you very much. And Carol Quinn, I'd marry you all over again. Thank you very much for that amazing introduction. So this book would not be possible without, of course, my mum. And it was a way for me and her to have the crack together. I would, in the early stages after the diagnosis, so around 3 years ago, I would look up years and find music from the years, and then we'd have a little dance to a piece of music. And from that, she'd say stuff and I'd get a poem out of it. And even from her earliest memories, of course, she doesn't remember being a newborn, but what she did remember was her older sister, Auntie Kathleen, saying that her dad used to hum her Chopin's lullaby when she was being cuddled and sent off to sleep. So that's the opening poem, and I'll read that for you. So just so that you know, I'm only going to read 7 poems. I know that my brothers in Boston are watching, and various other people are watching on YouTube. It'll probably be around 12 minutes long, and then you can start drinking. So, section 1, dance. Body movements as artistic expression. I'll read this for all the Hegartys and all the Kilkennys. Lullaby. The first dance, 1937. I danced as a baby held in the crook, the wiggle and jiggle of Ma's left arm. My first dance partner kept me from all harm. She lulled me in her shawl, swaddle and tuck, a dusky waltz, night feed and breast milk suck. Her body told tales like a well-made yarn. I was under her spell, the dancer's charm. From then on, I was left to rhythm's look. My head still keeps time with her broken heart, rocking to and fro, the scuff of her feet round the dark quiet of the back bedroom. Maybe that's why dance is my secret art. Ma cradles and sways me, movements so sweet. Chopin's lullaby is me ma's hummed tune. I love the fact that my ma and dad, my granny and granddad eloped. So it's great to know that she was made of love. And I think that matters when you know that you're made of love. I feel blessed with love in my life. Section 2, dance tempo. Rhythmic movements of the body, fast, medium, slow, patterned, suspended, syncopated, or still. Connemara Cayley. And I read this, set in 1949, I read this for all of my ma's friends and all of my own friends, mostly women and some men, but you are all just great dancers and you bring me great joy. Connemara Cayley, 1949. The Gaeltacht Prize from the Brickies Union made your granda so proud of me, he yupped. I went to Galway with your godmother, our first time to be let out of Dublin. The train chugged us west, made us pure giddy. Connemara was all mountains, lakes, stone walls, a big sky, and lovely woolly sheep. I loved the days spent in the old language and the nights dancing in the Hollamore. Rows of 8 girls facing rows of 8 boys. Stepping out, stepping in, shy face to face, letting on not to flirt like bold, bold things. Clasping hands for some wild, dizzying spins. Felt the charge of teenage skin on skin. Oh, to be young again. If you were walking out in Front Square now, you'd see all the young people having the kind of Front Square Cayley. It's great to see students back on campus, and it's great that young people are getting it together again. It's lovely to see. Dance space, section 3. Place, directions, pathways, sizes, and levels. It takes to 1961. I'll read this for all of my students, the TAP students and the migrant students. I sometimes think learning is a kind of dance between the learner and the knowledge. And I also think traveling is a kind of dance between the here and there. So this is for all my students, the migrant students and the TAP students. It takes two, 1961. Your Auntie Eileen used to come back home once a year with wild stories from London. The way she told it, that place was dance hall after dance hall. Mods, rockers, teddy boys and rockabilly girls, bold as you like. In Brixton, the Latin folks had dances that would make the parish priest bless himself. Eileen taught me and your dad to tango. Left foot forward, side step, open, back step for 2, cross feet, pause for balance, pivot, legs trace out a figure of 8. Relax, let your right leg flow over his. Trail your leg back, move slow, quick, slow. Lower the knees and press into the arms. Keep bodies open to one another. Auntie Eileen and her tango dancing classes. Carol brought me tango dancing and I loved it. And it was part of the research. We learned tango dancing in the round room at the back of the rotunda, and it was great fun. So I think I like that research best of all. Dancing with Carol. Section 5, dance relationship. Near, apart, around, beside, alone. So this is for Carl and Cathal and Michal, and for Carolyn and Billy, and all other people who are madly and passionately in love out there in the interweb world and in here. Love is really all that matters. Duet, Adagio, 1973. On Sundays, we'd send ye to the pictures and coo the smallies into taking naps. We made the time, begged, borrowed and stole time for Roberta Flack's songs in our front room. We'd slow dance of a rainy afternoon. He led me to the hall, skipped me upstairs, swayed me across the landing and dipped me into bed. I knew well what he was at. But our own fun ended with a child crying or the mill of kids through an unlatched door. And sure, it always led to another baby in the following year, my dear. They had 10 kids. They had great dancing time back then, in the time before Netflix. There was a dancing to be had. Section 5, dance energy, tension, force, weight, flow. I have all these little sticky things out of my book, and some of them are actually sticking together. So much for getting it organized. I love family dues. I love weddings. I love getting it together with friends and families and having a good hoolie. And this is a wedding poem about my brother Jared and my sister-in-law Joan's wedding in Ballinasloe. It was great fun. Alice. I'll read this all for all those people in America. We miss yous and we love yous. Alice, 1994. By rights, we should have been dancing river dance. A wedding in Ballinasloe, the place teeming with Dubs, Culchies and Boston Yanks. The bride wore white wellies, just for the crack. And yes, we had to make a right show of ourselves. Me, your dad, aunts and uncles lined up, swinging off one another's arms, swaying across the dance floor, stumbling a chorus line. I'll never get used to not living next door to Alice. Linked in our human chain, smelling the smell off one another, drunk from the banter, moving through the joy of a family do, dancing and roaring. Alice, Alice, who the is Alice? My ma still sang that song. I know when she was first getting diagnosed with dementia, the psychiatrist who did it was a lovely lady, but she was very middle class. And she said to me, oh yeah, no, your mum is very disinhibited. And I was looking at her going, no, actually, that's her personality. So yeah, she wasn't shy. Section 5, dance narrative, beginning, middle, and end. These sonnets are called, I'm calling them the dementia sonnets because of the wonderful links that Matthew helped me with. I put them so that they look like tangles and neurons that have cuts in them, and then a couple of them look like plaques on the brain. So I don't think there's ever been something called the dementia sonnet, but I think given what happened to my ma, and I think it's the only way I can make sense of how the brain gets these gaps and plaques. One of the things after the crash of 2008 was listening to my mum's version of it and how it was very different. When I look back now, I should have known that maybe something was happening with her brain, but I still liked her version of the downturn. Turn Up the Music for the Downturn, 2008. Folks went on about the Lehman Brothers. I'd never heard tell of them. Idiots claimed to have hidden money in a hedge. They definitely weren't around from here. Who were they when they were at home? Search me. It turned me off the news altogether. I only wanted music to make me get up, have a good dance for myself. So I kept the radio tuned to hits or pressed play on our Johnny's L boombox. Besides, the telly had me head done in with remote controls and downturn graphs. I just let it off, listened to music, did me housekeeping, and kept on dancing. So that is Downturn for the Music, and read that for Paula Meehan and Dermot Bulger and Sinead Morrissey and Kieran Carson, who were my mentors and teachers in poetry, and they taught me that a sonnet is a very pliable and wonderful folk song. And Heaney and Ivan Bowen also told me you can do whatever you like with a sonnet. It is a worker's song and you can change it around. So that gave me courage to make something like a dementia sonnet. Section 7, Dance Therapy. Movement to support the psychological, intellectual, and motor functions of the body. For example, using dance to treat dementia patients. So one of the first signs of dementia, certainly for Ma, was she would lose common words. Everyday words just seemed to drop out of her head and go away. And this poem looks at that. My Ma's favourite bird was swan. So I'll read this for all of the patients and families who are living with dementia, and for all of the medical people, including Brian and the scientists, Andrew and Matthew, who are trying to treat and maybe find a cure for dementia and Alzheimer's. So on World Alzheimer's Day, this is for everybody who is living with Alzheimer's, either as a patient, a family member, a carer, a medic, a scientist, a care home assistant, all of these. Trouble with Language, 2011. Ma takes us to see the thingy bob's nest, shows us their hidden place in the bushes. The kids race. Me and Ma link arms, breathe, rest. Her grandsons wield twig daggers for this quest. Down a fingless path so green and luscious, Ma takes us to see the thingy bob's nest. She points at the swans, the birds she loves the best. Whatchamacall them birds in the bushes? The kids race. Me and Ma link arms, breathe, rest. This day will end with the sun in the west. Water gurgles over stone. Tulka gushes. Ma takes us to see the thingy bob's nest. We talk family, local gossip and jest. We walk further, an April breeze hushes. The kids race. Me and Ma link arms, breathe, rest. I clock her lost words, shrug, don't want her stressed. We make time for the swans and song thrushes. Ma takes us to see the thingy bob's nest. The kids race. Ma and me link arms, breathe, rest. That last section is written in villanelles because of the repetitious nature of that worker's song. And repetition was certainly a part of my mom's dementia. By times she'd be asking me the same question again and again. So that was her one. I think we lost the lights, but if you open the door, it should come back on. Thanks, Declan. So the penultimate poem I read for everybody here, 2020, we made it through. What a year that was. And this is called Complete Impairment, 2020. They locked down all the nursing homes today. The sign says COVID-19, no access. Ma, please, please, tell me it won't end this way. My legs buckle and nerves begin to fray. Even though I've just bought you a new spring dress, they locked down all the nursing homes today. Our nightly visits, I'm not allowed to stay. Who's going to do your cold cream? Can't guess. Ma, please, please, tell me it won't end this way. Without your night-night hug, my heart's astray. I can only imagine your distress. They locked down all the nursing homes today. From Sydney Harbour to our Dublin Bay, the world's become one global viral mess. Ma, please, please, tell me it won't end this way. Go to sleep. Dream of dance. We'll be okay. I swear to good Jesus, I'll get access. They locked down all the nursing homes today. Listen, Ma, I won't let it end this way. You'd be glad to know I got back into her. We got back into her. She was the last while totally with us every day. It's great. So I'll read this as big thanks to everybody out there in the internet world. A big thanks for everybody here. Thanks for all of the help. Carol, I would have been lost without you. Alex, thanks for setting up all of the gear behind me. Declan, thanks for the tech support. Cathal and Michal, thanks for coming in to your Ma's book launch. And of course, especially to Brian, Professor Brian Lawler, and Associate Professor Andrew Hartley, and then to Matthew McGustin. I think get your name right, Matthew. Thank you for helping me understand the science behind dementia. And of course, I read this. This is my mum's idea and hope for heaven. And it's not a villanelle, it's a sonnet. A love sonnet. No last dance. You're not to be worrying. Da was right. Heaven is one lovely, mighty sing-song. You can't carry a tune, just dance along. I dance with me lost son, my angel bright. Your dad belts out his best ballads and airs. He gives a great lash of the rocky road, and Luke Kelly helps him lighten the load. Me and the baby dance away our cares. Ah, now, stop with your tears. Let go of grief. You know, I'm back to myself and dancing. Your dad's singing and we're still romancing. No sickness here, just the salve of release. Recall with joy my long and wondrous life. Let me dance my way into the long, long night. Thank you very much. Thanks. Also, I wanted to say special thanks to Lynn Russell, because she went out and got a copy of this last week, long before it was due to printer, and the man the printers gave it to her, because that's what happens when your ma dies, they'll do anything for you. Anyhow, I was able to put this in with my mum in the coffin, so thank you very much for that. If you want to buy a book, you can go to salmon.com, or else go to your nearest small independent bookshops. Woohoo! Way to go. And thank you all very much. You are deadly.